Uncanceled Comedy Collective presents Top Censored News of the Week. It's Top Censored News of the Week. We're bringing you the stories the mainstream media just refuses to cover. If they do cover them, they always do it in a very dishonest or sloppy way. And it's always on purpose. Okay, let's look at what do we have here. The top three stories that they're just not covering honestly. We're going to get into them right now. Okay, coming in at number 3, Israel creates a prison camp in Rafah that is under full Israeli military control, where inhabitants, those are prisoners, would be monitored at all times. This is from Dropsite News. Dropsite's Sharif Abdel Kudus appeared on Sky News to discuss his reporting on U.S. plans for a 25,000-person planned community, in quotes, in Rafah. That's the most southern part of Gaza. They're going to start there, and they're going to expand from there. So let's not fool ourselves. This is not just in Rafah. This will expand. That's where most of the population is right now, in Rafah, because they had to migrate south. But they're all kind of stuck there, the ones that are still barely alive. This is where they're going to do the planned community. On the project, Abdel says this is a lab for surveillance, a reincarnation of a refugee camp. We know the Palestinians have been in an open-air prison since 2006. So this will be a new reincarnation of it, a more sophisticated T-1000 version, if you will, of the same refugee camp, but with more AI tech surveillance in place. That can't be good, can it? So this is where Israel and outside forces will have complete economic, social, and security control over a brand new generation of depossessed Palestinians. Let's hear some of that report right now.
Been leaked is for a planned community in Rafah, which would force Palestinians into what would effectively be an Israeli-controlled surveillance city. The U.S. military-led stabilization group has put forward plans for the housing block, which would be under full Israeli military control. Residents would have to be invited to live there and then monitored through biometric surveillance. That digital ID would be needed to move around. Residents would be provided with electronic wallets and would not use cash.
Would not use cash, electronic wallets, total surveillance state. Again, this is starting in Rafah. Some are saying, oh, well, this is just an idea. It's not really going to happen. It's just an idea. Well, we heard what happened when Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, they sat down with 60 Minutes, did a little 60-minute overtime a few months ago. Back in October, it was 2 years since the genocide began. Well, what happened then? They admitted, and you guys know this, they admitted to this master plan that has been in the works for 2 years. So this idea that this Rafah thing is just some overblown idea, that no, this is part of the Gaza plan. This is part of the Gaza peace plan. This is a blueprint on which to build a mechanism that can then be expanded, like I said, not just in the southern part of Gaza, the entire Gaza Strip. And then what happens next? Well, it comes here. Well, what do we have to do with that, right? That sucks for Palestinians, but don't we have our own battles to fight right here in the U.S.? Isn't that like kind of where we should be focusing on, and just say, hey, it sucks if you're in Palestine right now and you're dealing with this, but we have other things to deal with? Really? Well, JGTV kind of tied everything together here with the technology that has been being used on the ground in Gaza this entire time. This 2-year master plan is also tied to what ICE is doing, surveillancing and getting everybody in a super data computer right now. And Minneapolis is a prime place for that right now. You guys know we've been covering that ongoingly. But it's all connected, man. It's all connected. Let him spell it out for you guys. Connect these technologies. And remember these companies and this tech when you're having conversations with your friends and family who don't understand the severity of this, that this is not about immigration. It's about putting this tech everywhere. Here it is.
Liberals hate ICE because they think it's about border policy. It's not why I hate ICE. I hit ICE because while we were all arguing about politics, they were importing the software from Gaza's genocide. I'm talking about a company called Paragon Solutions. They make a spyware called Graphite that was used to track and target Palestinians in real time. They took that exact same technology, rebranded it as Immigration OS, and then sold it.
So let's stop there. So the graphite technology is what was the mechanism to create this plan for Rafah. That was the mechanism. And so as that leaked, it's leaking now that we understand that they're literally building this new prison camp. That same technology is now being used from the 30 million that was granted to Palantir, and they're just rebranding it, calling it Immigration OS. So it's the same thing. So we're watching the results. If you want to see the future, if you want to peek into the future, look at what they're doing in Rafah right now. That's what's happening right here, specifically in Minneapolis, where we can see it in real time. The surveillance state grabbing everybody, everybody's a domestic terrorist now, right? Everybody's a domestic terrorist. If you come in contact with ICE, you're first on the list. Okay, but continue.
To ICE to use on us. This is no longer about stopping illegal immigrants. This is about creating a digital prison for every American citizen. They're using the same digital twin technology that mapped every single person, car, and building in Gaza to create a live, real-time map of your neighborhood, your phone, your car, you. The goal has never been about security. The goal is total control. And this is the foundational system for the New World Order. It's the beast system everyone talks about, but it's not a prophecy, it's a product. It's already here. They tested it on Gaza. They saw how perfectly the AI could automate targeting, how it could remove human conscience from the equation, and just follow the code. They saw that it worked. Now, they're rolling it out on us. So don't talk to me about left or right. It's bullshit. This is about a system of technological control that's so vast, so complete, that it makes all of our political opinions completely irrelevant. So while we're fighting over bullshit in politics, they've brought the AI that they built for war back to us. I wrote a book that proves all of this. Link is in my bio. Check it out.
Jake G TV, as you guys know, we feature a lot of his work. He does mess around with AI and really uses comedy to get his point across. But that was a serious message, and I would suggest going and checking him out more carefully. Like I know a lot of our viewers do follow Jake G TV. But with that said, the idea that this is an isolated thing that we don't have to worry about, those days are over. The division is real. The distractions are real, and we got to make this. When we challenge ICE, when we have these discussions, and people that's still holding on to Trump's 40D chess or whatever it is now, this part needs to be talked about. This is not just about racist Trump, racist King Trump wants to get all the non-white people out. That's not the extent of the conversation. We need to be talking about this technology Palantir is using. This comes directly from Gaza, and we can see it in real time. The master plan is happening right now. Rafah is being targeted. It's real. It's not just some crazy blown up idea. It's happening real time. We'll keep an eye on that one. Okay, coming in at number 2 on top censored news of the week, we have foreign banks are dumping U.S. treasuries. They're dumping gold and crashing the dollar, while Trump continues playing, what do we call it now? 49D chess. Okay, well, let's look at what is being discussed in circles not on your social media feed probably at this point, unless you're looking carefully. Okay, so from Megatron, Peter Schitt is saying that the dollar is going to collapse. The dollar is going to be replaced by gold. We're heading for an economic crisis that will make 2008 financial crisis seem like a Sunday school picnic. Let's hear what he had to say on Fox Business. Here we go.
Pulling the rug out from under the U.S. The dollar is going to collapse. The dollar is going to be replaced by gold. Central banks are buying gold to back up their currencies. True. They're getting rid of dollars. They're getting rid of treasuries. We are headed for an economic crisis, again, that will make the 2008 financial crisis look like a Sunday school picnic. The biggest difference between the crisis that we're about to have and the one we had back then is this one is all in America. It's not going to be exported to the rest of the world. It's not a global financial crisis. It's an American financial crisis.
So, as we know, we lived through the 2008 crisis, the Obama bailing out. He took over from the Bush-Cheney regime, and he just continued. What he continued was he basically bailed all the banks out, kicked 5.4 million people out of their homes. Everybody, all the pundits, the people that go on all these news shows, the NBC news shows that were going all through that time frame, everybody got it wrong. The Jim Cramers, all these assholes, they get it wrong. So should we be listening to Peter Schiff right now? Yes, no, maybe so. But we know our financial system is rigged. I think the thing that will not be talked about on Fox Business is the Saudi Arabia relationship that has completely changed. That is the reason. That is the ultimate reason that this shift is happening. And we're not going back. We cannot sustain this thing. Back in the day, we had different systems in place to rig interest rates. The Alan Dershowitz out there, these people that would rig it for them, extend the life of the U.S. dollar. It doesn't look like that extension can happen anymore for too much longer when you have Saudi Arabia not being our muscle anymore, not enforcing the U.S. dollar as the currency to trade oil with. That's not anymore. So there is definitely a lot of truth here. We should be a little bit more just kind of, I would say, I don't want to say be in a state of panic, but understand that there is an incredible shift happening right now that is not, it will make 08 look like nothing. Let's hear what Trump has to say when asked about how well the dollar's doing.
President, with the current value of the dollar, do you think it's declined too much?
No, I think it's great. I mean, the value of the dollar, look at the business we're doing. No, dollar's doing great.
Dollar's doing great. You can trust me. Come on, guys. Dollar's great, man. It's doing great. Okay. Sure. As the foreign banks are dumping U.S. treasuries, buying gold, crashing the dollar, they're pulling the rug out and driving American economy towards a crisis. We know that it would make 2008 look like just a little blip, right? But of course, Trump says it's okay, and he's playing his 49D. I guess we're at the 49D chess now. That's where we're at. Why don't we hear a little more thoughtful breakdown? This is Ray Dalio. He's going to break down a little bit more about what's happening on the global scale right now in real time.
The beginning of the end of the monetary system as we know it. It's not just the US dollar, it's the fiat monetary currencies. So the UK, the euro, Japan, China all have similar debt problems and so on, and are dealing with the same interrelationships, which is the reason you're seeing gold being chosen by the central banks. They want a currency. Gold has always been the main currency, and it's the only non-fiat currency, in other words, not the currency that can't be printed, that they want. And so that's why you're seeing central banks move and sovereign wealth funds move to gold, and that's the nature of the shift of the monetary system.
There it is. There it is. And again, I think the part that's being left out of the conversation, which we need to keep an eye on, is our relationship with Saudi Arabia and how they're not acting as our muscle anymore. That's what kind of started the domino effect on this I would say about a year and a half ago. That's what's kind of started unfolding everything, and that crack in the dam really started to come undone. That's the number two story that's not being covered, honestly, if at all, on a lot of mainstream right now. Because if they were to cover this honestly, it would unravel not just the idea that we're being honest about the crumbling of the dollar, but that our entire concept of our economy and American exceptionalism and capitalism, for that matter, that is this exceptional model that has no flaws. All of that would come undone, and people would have to start rethinking the entire structure of their own finances and their own portfolios, and these things that really are just made up ideas based on our country being in debt since the Federal Reserve. We privatized the banking system over 100 years ago, and here we are now. So yeah, at some point it's going to come crashing down, and I think we're seeing it in real time. Here is for top censored news of the week, coming in on the number one story this week. Mainstream media blames TikTok censorship problem on pro-Trump U.S. acquisition groups, with no mention of what? No mention of Israel. Oh, that's interesting. How are they going to spin it? Well, let's start with, we can start with CBS. Let's see how CBS is covering this. This is from Case Study. And we know who owns CBS. So let's see how they spin this story, because you can't ignore it. TikTok is failing. It's gone. It's over. There's enough people leaving the platform. They have to report something. Well, what is it? Why is this happening, CBS?
Version of TikTok is already under scrutiny after some users accuse the app of suppressing anti-ICE or anti-Trump content. Now, California's governor says he's launching an investigation into the complaints.
Oh, my God. Newsom, Mr. Zio, California West Coast Zionist, Zio Newsom himself is launching an investigation. Well, great lead in. So we already know what the problem is, right? Thanks for telling us in advance. It's people that are trying to protect Trump. That's the problem. Nothing about Israel. Of course not. Well, let's hear about this investigation.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is taking aim at the popular social media app, TikTok. Writing on X, "It's time to investigate. I am launching a review into whether TikTok is violating state law by censoring Trump-critical content." The Democrat said some users had complained they were barred from posting the phrase Epstein.
Epstein. Interesting. I wonder if so this is Trump-related content. Oh, that's right. The whole spin about Democrat hoax. Trump is the only one on the Epstein list. Oh, that's right. This is not a systemic problem of the entire elite class. This is a Trump problem. This has nothing to do with Epstein being a Mossad agent. This is strictly a Trump problem. Thanks for correcting that, CBS. I was confused there for a second.
This is going to be American operated all the way.
It comes just days after ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese owner, said it had finalized a deal to set up a majority U.S.-owned joint venture that will secure U.S. data and avoid a ban here in the U.S. But since the announcement, users say they have noticed a change.
TikTok is now censoring our content a lot more now.
TikTok USA is broken.
What in the is going on with my FYP?
So they're admitting, again, they have to admit that something's wrong, but they're doing little excerpts of people that are claiming this is a U.S. acquisition problem. Therefore, you can say, well, they're playing party politics and they're protecting Trump. And that's the extent of it. That's obviously we know there's more to this, but this is how they spin this story. So the general public thinks they're getting a real inside look at it. And CBS is conducting an investigation. Gavin Newsom is conducting an investigation.
For the weekend, TikTok users reported seeing the same videos repeating on their For You page, some content not displaying, and new posts getting 0 views. Other users also accused the app of censorship, claiming videos critical of ICE and the recent killing of Alex Preddy was what caused the difficulties to post.
Again, so they can throw in little nuggets of truth, like the censorship, like people not getting likes at all. That's a real thing. But they're blaming it on what? On if you are challenging specifically the Trump administration, nothing to do with Israel. That will never be mentioned on here.
We are posting factual political information, and they are censoring our content.
But TikTok denied those claims and says the glitches users experienced were due to a power outage at a U.S. data center. In a statement, they said, quote, "We've publicly confirmed we're having ongoing technical issues impacting all U.S. users. It would be inaccurate to report that this is anything but the technical issues we've publicly confirmed." Now, it's important to be under scrutiny after some.
So hold on. We'll go back. Let me frame it here. So this is the game they play. They're trying to trick their audience. CBS Mornings. They're trying to trick their audience into thinking that they're getting to the bottom of this because TikTok is saying, no, it's a technical issue. So then you trust your news network who's saying, no, we're going deeper. We're talking to people. And they're saying, this isn't tech related. This is specifically Trump critique. And now you as the viewer of CBS Morning News, which you're watching before you take your kids to school or before you start your day, and you're like, I'm getting my news. You think that the investigation has been completed. You think that our great Governor Newsom is doing amazing stuff for California, and he's looking into this, all the Trump protection here, and let's not let people have any critique of this administration. Again, this is all a scam. This is all BS, complete BS. Okay, she's gonna top it off at the end with one more deflection, which is what we call gaslighting. Check out how they end the story.
Technical issues impacting all U.S. users. It would be inaccurate to report that this is anything but the technical issues we've publicly confirmed.
Now, it's important to note that this deal for the U.S. portion of TikTok was just finalized last week, so it will likely take some time for any real changes to flow through to the app.
Oh, so none of this really made any sense anyways. It's not even, you're not even going to see any changes, guys. So I don't even know what everyone's complaining about. Well, thanks for pointing that out, because there's no way they can make any overnight changes at all, right? Well, we're not actually talking about overnight changes. What we're talking about is a mechanism that's been in place for a long, long time. Larry Ellison, as we know, he has been at the behind the scenes of the acquisition of this for a couple years now. So this is not something that's happening overnight. Larry Ellison knows where you're scrolling from. TikTok's new owners have eliminated its privacy rule protecting U.S. users' precise location data from being collected. So this location data, this is interesting, right? That he already has this GPS mechanism already in place. So it's bullshit to think that because the deal officially just went down a few days ago last week, that means that they can't possibly initiate this stuff right away. And this is the time that you would expect people to start speaking up and saying, what happened to my account? And then you got people coming out of the woodwork all of a sudden being upset about this. People like Bernie Sanders. We showed you guys this on Tuesday. This is where Bernie's now in line. This is the time. The timing is right. He got the call. Now you can have a problem with Larry Ellison. Now you can mention him by name, because now the deal's locked. So here goes Bernie to his whatever left of his base. He's saying, thanks to Trump, right-wing multi-billionaire Larry Ellison will now control the TikTok algorithm along with all of the other things he owns. We've been covering it the whole time. Bernie Sanders just found out about it. And he says, this is what oligarchy looks like. Really, Bernie? Really? Because when you were doing your stupid little tour with AOC last summer, I don't remember you mentioning Larry Ellison at all. I remember you doing No Kings, pictures of Trump with a crown, with a Hitler mustache. I remember that. I remember you escorting people out of the arena that had Free Palestine flags. I remember all of that. So for you to get upset about this now, it's kind of interesting, and it really goes to show you it's all about timing. And he certainly got the phone call about this. He got the okay. He didn't just come up with this on his own. But I like Jimmy Dore went even further with this, which I really like this. He goes, let's get some historical context here. Come on, Bernie. That's because of Bill Clinton and Al Gore, who deregulated media ownership with the 1999 or 96 Telecommunications Act. And that was the act which took America from 50 giant media companies down to 6 super giant media companies. But Bernie is incapable of telling you the truth when it comes to the Democratic Party, right? He can only do this when it's Trump in office, and specifically the timing he's doing it. That's the part we're pointing out. Bernie seems bent on discovering new ways to expose his cowardice and let his former supporters down. And his current supporters, whatever's left, I don't know, what we can say about them, but I think they are now understanding. Now we get upset about Larry Ellison. Now we do. Not during No Kings. Nobody even knew who he was during No Kings. This is from Adam. Gracie Abrams. She had 3.2 million followers. She's gone. She is gone. And that's huge. That's 3.2 million followers. TikTok app uninstallations now have jumped by 150% following the acquisition by Larry Ellison. So Adam's saying delete TikTok now. It's an Israeli state media company now. And here is 3.2 million. Now she's down to 0. Good for her. Good for her. What else? Well, this is from Nico House, friend of the show, says, well, and this is based on you can't say the word Epstein on TikTok. Because why? Because the new owner, Larry Ellison, is a rabid Zionist. The hate speech moderator is an ex-IDF instructor. We covered her as well. This is the team in place. That's why you can't say Epstein, not because they're all Trump voters and they don't want Democrats speaking out. This is about calling out Israel. You're not allowed to do that. Maxwell's dad, we know, was the most celebrated Mossad assets in history. And Acosta said that he had to give Epstein's a sweetheart deal because Epstein was intelligence. So we've seen all this. We saw this going down. But if and he goes on, Nico House says, but if I said a certain country, I wonder which one, was protecting a certain human trafficker, they would call me what? Anti-something. I don't know. They call you anti-something. This is CNN's coverage. This is Brian Switzer. This guy goes even further with this whole, we're going to get to the bottom of it. Here we go.
New American business is off to a really inauspicious start, and the app is on the fritz. It's been on the fritz for days, with users reporting different sorts of problems. And as you said, TikTok is blaming this on a data center outage, but some users just are not buying it. The context here is key. Last week, TikTok's U.S. entity changed hands. This was a result of a long gestating deal between TikTok and the Trump administration, trying to resolve concerns over national security. The new TikTok U.S. business is controlled by American investors who are allied and aligned with President Trump. These are figures like Larry Ellison, the Oracle billionaire, and Michael Dell. These are figures who are now controlling TikTok's U.S. entity, and there are lots of questions about whether this joint venture is going to put the thumb on the scale to benefit President Trump.
So do you guys see how disgusting this is? This is protection of Israel. That's what this is. That's the spin. Do you understand that? They didn't look into the Israel part and determine that it wasn't substantial. If that was an honest look, they would tell us. We looked into the Israel part. It's not substantial. This is 100% gaslighting, deflection, confusing viewers, and making them think that the problem with Larry Ellison is he's aligned with Trump. That's not the problem. The problem is that he created Oracle, became the second biggest, richest person in the planet with a company that did Israeli spyware. That's what this is. So for Brian Switzer to leave that part out is he's intentionally lying to you. Let's hear a little more.
To benefit the MAGA right in some of the same ways that Elon Musk moved Twitter.
But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is class. Followers. TikTok.
So this was said months ago. We covered it on the show. Brian Switzer knows this video exists. This is when Netanyahu sat down and educated his TikTok influencers, the 7,000 a pop influencers. He gave them a little class. This is a classroom. He basically set a classroom up and educated them on why TikTok is the biggest acquisition ever. This is deliberately being left out by mainstream media. Here's one that you guys should be aware of. Her name is Bisan. She had 1.4 million followers, and she's reporting an actual TikTok ban. She's an award-winning Palestinian journalist, and she says she's been permanently banned from TikTok after the social media platform was acquired by we know who. And they keep saying, even Al Jazeera is saying in the United States, as some sort of like, remember we were trying to beat China, and that's why it was all about China. They're still suggesting that this is about we have to beat China. They're still doing this. This is not within the United States. This is an outside entity capturing our country. That's what this is. This is not within the United States. But she says, and she's an Emmy award-winning journalist, and she's contributed to Al Jazeera before from Gaza. So she's saying that TikTok deleted the account, 1.4 million followers. She'd been building it for years. And now what is she going to do? Well, look, what she did do is share one more video. I'm going to play that one for you guys right now. Here we go.
Strong. Why you're so mad? TikTok deleted my account. I had 1.4 million followers there, and I have been building that platform for 4 years now, but TikTok deleted it. It's not restricted as every time. No, it's banned forever. And actually, I expected something like that, especially after this interview.
But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is Class?
Followers.
TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential.
And this interview lately.
We made a change to designate the use of the term Zionist as a proxy for a protected attribute as hate speech. So if somebody were to use Zionist, of course you can use it in the sense of you're a proud Zionist, but if you're using it in the context of degrading somebody, calling somebody a Zionist as a dirty name, then that gets designated as hate speech to be moderated against. Over the course of 2024, we tripled the amount of accounts that we were banning for hateful activity. We also have, I think, over 24 Jewish organizations that are constantly feeding us intelligence and information when they spot violative trends. There is.
So this, again, this has been this operation to take out TikTokers that were challenging Israel has been in the works this entire time. And they brag about it all the time. So again, when you see Brian Switzer's and these other pundits coming on these mainstream networks and they're telling you that this is a Trump problem and they're leaving that out, that is on purpose. So I want you guys to remember that. That is on purpose. Their job is to protect Israel. That's their problem. That's their job. And to keep us angry at the one king, Trump. And now it's time. It's okay to say Larry Ellison is one of the kings now that he has TikTok. So that's it. But they will keep bragging about the work they do behind the scenes. We just have to keep paying attention and look for it ourselves. Where's everybody going to that are leaving TikTok? I have to throw this up. We talked about this on Tuesday. I'm just going to remind everyone that doesn't know, this is where people are going. Thousands of users on X are migrating to the new social media app called Upscrolled, which claims to avoid algorithmic censorship. That's the way it's been designed. And I'll leave you with this because you guys know we covered this on Tuesday a little bit. We were skeptical right away with Upscrolled. Now, look, we'll start an account. We do recommend you guys start one. If you're feeling it, go for it. It's better than just get the hell off TikTok. That's really the real thing, is get the hell off TikTok. That's so we can all agree on that. But as far as Upscrolled goes, this is what we know about it right now. We know that this is the CEO, the founder, Isam Hijazi, and Isam Hijazi comes from the tech world. He actually promotes this in his LinkedIn profile, that what does it say? He comes from he led data and AI strategies. Where did he do that at? A bunch of places, including IBM, and where else? Oracle. So something to keep in mind. He is Palestinian. This has a good feel to it, that the guy says, come on over. You can challenge Israel on my platform. But just keep in mind, guys, the guy who put this together, who they're allowing to have this space, let's just be mindful of that. So go ahead and start your accounts, but just know where the tech comes from, directly from Oracle, which is the mechanism of Israeli spyware and everything we're dealing with Palantir right now that we've been covering for the last several months. So just understand that. But again, I'm not telling you not to do it. You should, but be just like we're on X, and we know, as Elon says, as Netanyahu says about Elon, we just have to nudge Elon. We just got to nudge him a little bit. So we'll stay on X. And again, it's just don't look at Upscrolled any differently than X at this point. That's all I'm suggesting. But go ahead and start your accounts. We'll probably start one, and we'll go from there. This has been another episode of Top Censored News of the Week.